Nick Hayek, back in 2015, talked about a tsunami. He talked about Armageddon for Swiss corporate culture, for Swiss corporate operations, for the ability to trade around the world. Was Nick Hayek right to make that prediction?
I think, good morning to you, and I think looking back, it was really not a big problem for the companies. I mean, they kept on complaining about the situation, but they have always been adjusting for a weakness in the Swiss franc. Remember, for strengths in the Swiss franc. Remember, we had for decades very strong currencies, and companies always had to focus on really high value-added activities, had to go outside with their production, with their sourcing relatively early, and keep only things like research, design. Here in Switzerland, which is indeed, of course, an expensive place to produce. But this highly value-added focus has also led to high cash flow returns for the companies and a good performance of the Swiss equity markets even over those decades. And over the last 3-4 years, it has also been true, actually, that the currency was moving only very slowly towards the 120 again, but the equity market was recovering already in a couple of months.
I remember stories, Martin. I was living in New York when this SNB put this peg on, and a Big Mac cost $17 in Zurich. In dollars, the price came back right away. Why is the Euro Swissy so much more important to the SNB and the Swiss economy than the US dollar Swiss franc?
Yeah, I think it's true that the focus is often on this Euro-Swiss franc exchange rate. However, if you look at the economy, the exposure of the companies, they make more than, I mean, the listed Swiss companies make more than 90% of their business, of their revenues outside Switzerland. And if you look at the mix there, it's actually 1/3 roughly directly to the US, another third towards Asia, which is more or less pegged to the US dollar, so also more dollar dependence. And then it's roughly 40% or so that we would estimate to Euro and European currencies. So indeed, the focus should be actually more on the dollar exchange rate than on the Euro exchange rate. But you're right, it has been more on the Euro exchange rate. And here, also, I would caution a little bit on the excitement that we are seeing, as the dependence on the dollar should impact the earnings of the companies more. However, over the last couple of weeks, we have also seen the dollar getting a bit stronger against Swiss franc, so maybe that could be an additional boost here.
Martin, I guess we look forward at this point. So my question really is kind of what happens next? Are Swiss equities more desirable? Are Swiss companies going to perform better? We've seen numbers out from Asia Brown Boveri this morning, Nestle just around the corner from you. Yes. Are these companies going to do better as the currency weakens? What impact will it have on the kind of the ownership, the desirability of Swiss francs, of Swiss equities?
Yeah, it should be, of course, supportive, as I said in the beginning, even though the direct translation into equity markets has been not so clear. It should be, of course, beneficial for the earnings, especially if we see also the dollar starting to move somewhat. And you are right, it should be positive. What is important is actually not so much how the Swiss economy is doing. What is more important is the global growth, because the Swiss companies are very global. And for that, we are seeing finally some better growth rates since last year. I mean, we are very early in this cyclical expansion. We have seen 10 years of really world GDP growth going below par, and that was not helpful for Swiss companies that are indeed international and export oriented. Now, since last year, the situation is much better, and going forward, we should have better earnings, also helped by the currency, but mostly by the global growth. Valuations are not expensive, so we have a positive view on Swiss equities.